All right, welcome everyone to the Executive Espresso Break, the caffeinated edge for scaling success. I'm Sam Palazzolo, and this session is all about creating clarity, speed, and certainty in your business growth strategy. Today, we're talking about something that fuels every business, but few actually master. And I've titled it Networking That Scales: How to Turn Relationships into a Revenue Engine. We'll explore how to move beyond random connections into systems that drive predictable pipelines, build trust at scale, and create referral engines that compound over time. And joining me today, someone who's built an entire ecosystem around this topic, is Derek Morgan. He's the founder of Referral Marketing Ideas and creator of the Refer It app. Derek helps business coaches, consultants, and partners generate high quality leads with no ad spend. We'll give Derek the opportunity to introduce himself here in a minute, but first, let's jump in and set the stage for where we're heading. Here's our agenda, our roadmap, if you will, for today. I've titled the session Networking That Scales: How to Turn Relationships into a Revenue Engine. And we'll unpack 4 high impact themes. The first, from random connections to predictable pipelines. Think of this as how to turn networking from a passive activity into a system. The second area we'll dive into is trust at scale. Why credibility compounds faster than content or capital. Third, we'll take a look at the referral flywheel, how to create a self-sustaining growth engine. And then we'll bring it home with number 4, the new rules of network ROI. You know, Sam, the accountant, can't get away from his financials. We'll talk in this section about how to measure and multiply your network's real business impact. Each section in here will build on the last, so whether you're a solopreneur or a CEO leading a 1,000-person team, you'll walk away with actionable insight you can implement immediately. So before we dig in, Derek, let's give folks a quick look at who you are and what you've built. Would you mind? I know your story, and I know it starts with solving your own problem, figuring out how to generate consistent, high quality leads without pouring money into ads. But would you mind telling us a little bit about that journey and what led you to create the referral marketing formula?
Yeah, Sam, great. And thanks for the intro and the time. I've had over 30 years in business development, 20 odd years in financial services, and then made the crazy decision to get out of that and jump into tech with no tech experience. So I've worked in business development for startup tech, scale up tech, enterprise technology. And regardless of whether the business or organization I was working with had a marketing budget or not, I never actually got a sales qualified lead from marketing. So I always had to rely on actually going and creating my own pipeline and, hitting my number through networking. So about 18 months ago, I realized that I needed to I left enterprise and started up Referral Marketing Ideas. And I realized that I needed to actually create a system around what I was doing naturally. And so I created the referral marketing formula, which is, to your flywheel conversation, a very clear framework for developing referral networks and particularly referral partnerships so that you can get that consistency of high quality leads with no ad spend and no cold outreach. So becoming more important in today's noisy market.
Yeah, perfect. We're going to have a great conversation. For those of you that are joining us for the first time, I'm Sam Palazzolo. My background's a mix of Fortune 500 leadership assignments, consulting at Deloitte, and multiple exits. These executive espresso breaks are about one thing, and that's giving you concentrated, actionable insight that you can apply today. So, all right, Derek, caffeine's kicking in. Let's move forward to our first topic. But before we do, a self-fulfilling commercial break. I want to give a quick espresso shot of value. Every month I hold a limited number, 3 of what I call executive espresso strategy sessions. These are 20 minutes. They're one-on-one, and they drive to real strategies, real results. In that time together, we pinpoint your number one growth barrier, the real issue holding you or your business back. And then we build an action plan that's quick. It's a playbook that you can apply immediately. Think of it like a diagnostic for you and your business, because the most expensive decision you can make is waiting. And if you want to grab one of these sessions, the link is in the show notes here. If I was you, I'd act, because I only do 3 of these a month. So, all right, Derek, enough of that self-fulfilling commercial break. Let's talk about building predictable pipelines. This is topic number 1, from random connections to predictable pipelines. You know, from my perspective, most leaders network reactively. They show up when sales are down, they shake a few hands, and they hope for luck, right? So I'm curious, from your perspective, Derek, how do you help people move from what I would term random connections to a predictable pipeline that consistently feeds their business?
Yeah, great question. I'm going to sort of uh, just qualify that my responses are going to come from a B2B perspective, because that's my area of expertise. So yeah, no sort of context here from a B2C networking perspective. But I think the biggest challenge that we see in the marketplace is there's either, to your point, people only show up networking when they're desperate for sales, and therefore they're just in the wrong frame of mind when they're going out networking. Or the other extreme is they're hyperactive with networking. So they're going to so many breakfast, lunches and dinners and business expos and those sorts of things, and they're turning up to online networking events, but they're not being effective about it, because most people go in there with a very broad product-based introduction.
Mhm.
It's very long-winded. People can't remember it, and they don't know how to connect people up. So what we tend to teach with the referral marketing formula is go into networking events leading with value, but also looking for referral partners. Who is your ideal client? And then who owns a relationship with lots of your ideal clients? And then look for introductions to those referral partners. It's a much easier conversation when you're networking, and when you can demonstrate a value proposition for a referral partner, it's very easy for people to make that introduction for you, because they don't have this concern that you're actually going to go and sell this person something. They're not tipping a customer into a sales cycle, right? And so it's a much, much easier introduction for people to make to referral partners rather than to a direct potential customer.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. Follow-up question. And once someone's building this type of a system, what are the early signs it's working? I mean, before those big referral deals actually close.
Yeah, it's about in all referrals, and particularly when you're talking about referral partnerships and building referral relationships, it's about proximity and engagement. And you relationships build faster. We're talking about B2B networking. We're talking about business networking. So there needs to be a value exchange between both parties. Doesn't always need to be margin, right? And quite often it's better if it's not margin. It's better if it's not you refer to me, I'll refer to you. If you've got value that is beyond that, if you're valuable to a referral partner's core business, either from a lead generation perspective or a customer engagement or a customer follow-up or delivery perspective, now you're going to market with that partner. So you're going to get that engagement. They're going to take the calls. They're going to be invested in the conversation. That's where you start to get validation that what you're delivering to that partner is important to them. And then that's when the referrals will start flowing in, because you're tied into something that's important to them. You're delivering value that's important to the other person.
Yeah, that makes that value prop and that valuation makes perfect sense to me. Let's move forward. Let's layer in the trust factor, because this is topic number 2. I called it trust at scale, the real currency of modern business. Here's my experience. In a world full of automation and AI generated everything, Trust is the real last differentiator. So, Derek, my question, what are the biggest mistakes people make when trying to build trust through their network?
Uh, I think trying to automate everything, right? To your point, I think there's two trust cycles going on right now. There's a trust recession in that nobody trusts anything that's digital. And most businesses are running down the path of, I want to AI everything. I want to automate everything. I want to send massive amounts of content out into the marketplace. And if everybody's doing that, it becomes really noisy. So in the B2B space, people are pulling back and they want to your point, they want to do business with real people that they can have a human to human conversation with and build relationship with. So there's a big body of evidence that this trust economy is the trend of the next 10 years. So it's going to be a matter of everything that's old is new again. It's going back to live online events where you know that you're dealing with a real human, and live in-person events. So I think, factoring that high human touch into your marketing, into your engagement, and how do you actually, go to market with referral partners, running joint events to de-risk the whole cost and that sort of thing, gives you increased exposure. So, yep, people to people.
Yeah, and I'm guilty of this. I'm the business growth guy. When people want to have an effective scaling strategy, they generally call me. I often equate automation with scaling. And if you wanted to have trust, it almost seems to be an opposition of a scaling. You almost need to do a minimalist type of an approach. But on the flip side here, and you might have already hinted towards it, Derek. I'm curious from your perspective, what's one small mindset shift that instantly increases someone's trust equity in their ecosystem?
Lead with value. Be genuine about leading with value. So, I mean, the biggest challenge with for most businesses and sales teams, there's so much pressure on activity that you don't have the time and space to actually really build those relationships. The higher ticket the sales item,
Yeah.
the more time and space that you need, the longer the sales cycles. So when everybody's coming in, sell, how do you come in and lead with value? Um, you know, your network is incredibly valuable. The people that you know that you can connect other people up to solve problems that you can't solve, particularly when people are in a buying cycle where your product or service is not their priority right now, but it might be or will be in the future. How do you add value to that person, stay engaged, to be top of mind, and be first cab off the rank when that person does come into a buying cycle for your product or service? So yeah, what's valuable in the mind of the other person rather than what do you perceive as value, and then how do you actually deliver that?
Yeah, it's brilliant. It leads directly into compounding that trust through value, not through your systems, not through automation, and certainly not through luck, which is what I would like to believe most people are basing their decisions off of. Let's slide into the next topic here. This is great. I titled this one the Referral Flywheel, building a self-sustaining growth engine. Now, you describe the referral marketing as a formula, not a fluke. What are the key ingredients that turn a good network into a growth flywheel?
Being really clear on who your ideal customer is and focusing on attracting and engaging more of that exact person. Your best customers can also lead you to your next best referral partner, because your best customers are working with vendors, suppliers, reps, advisors that have a client network that looks exactly like your best customer. So that the biggest focus and follow through is probably the biggest part of that flywheel. What we tend to see is most people are out there going, we can work with everybody. Well, actually, you can't, and you shouldn't. And therefore, if you're actually going to go out and market and look for your next new client, then you should be looking for your next best client, not just any client, right? So
Yeah.
I think when you get that clarity of focus and you start going deep into working strategically with your existing clients and past clients, around connecting with referral partners, that's where you get this flywheel effect. And when, to your point, that we spoke about before, when you're leading with value, then you can simply go and bring on new partners based on your ability to deliver. And it's completely independent of whatever the current algorithm trend is or content marketing strategy is, because it's very, very direct. It's very, very targeted, and it's all through warm introduction.
Yeah, it's a great point. I think that so often we get focused on center of the crosshairs. Who is our ideal client and how do we go out after them? So this follow-up is about the value and the referral partners. Question is, how can you best identify and empower those best referral partners?
It, it's a it's the old marketing adage of you need to have clarity around your personas. Like, you need to really have clearly defined, written down ideal customer profiles, and, you know, go deep on your existing clients and who are they working with in all other areas of their business, from technology, from marketing, from, you know, who do they use in their delivery network? Who do they use for financial advice? And just really go deep on those relationships. That's that's probably the internal and the external consideration there, but it's all around clarity, knowing exactly who you're looking for, and then exactly what your value proposition is to those people.
Yeah, that clarity on the referral sources and how you can drive value. I see a couple of themes that keep on coming up here. So this is great. Let's bring it home. This is topic number 4 already, the new rules of network ROI. I have seen it where most leaders invest in relationships, but few know how to measure the return on investment of those relationships. So I'm wondering, from your perspective, Derek, how do you define or measure return on network?
The same way that you measure any sales pipeline activity. It's, you know, at the end of the day, you can use the LAPS process: leads, appointments, proposals, sales. And you should be tracking that against your outbound activity. You should be tracking that against your inbound activity from an ads content creation perspective. What most people miss is they don't have a very deliberate networking activity of, you know, what are the customer and partner calls that you're making? What's the follow-up process? What sales are you getting from those? What leads are you getting from those? What's your conversion rates? So, you know, everybody's looking for all of these net new leads coming in, and then they close that deal and then they move on and they're looking for the next net new lead. But you've got this client with this network. And if you've done a good job for that client, it's then, well, how do you create that short bridge to an introduction to vendors, suppliers, advisors, reps, you know? So again, earlier on, I spoke about focus and follow-up. That's probably the biggest issues in the current business environment. It's so noisy, and the whole marketplace is basically training us to go cold outreach at scale, content, hamster wheel. And nobody's talking about slowing down and being very deliberate with, as the new lead comes in and as they turn into a client, how do you now bridge that gap to get referrals and introductions to referral partners that get you referred leads, which close faster, they stay longer, the margins are higher, and there's no ad spend. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's very powerful. Follow-up question. What's your advice for leaders who want to future-proof their networking, especially as all things you'd hit on, algorithms, tech, AI, tools, different platforms keep on changing. What's the advice that you would give to future-proof?
It comes back to the trust trend that you raised earlier. It's as all of this stuff is going on with AI and noisy markets and, organic content reach is dropping off a cliff at the moment. And it's a standard social media platform play. Get people on it en masse, give them plenty of content reach, shrink the content reach over time until the only time you can get reach now is if you promote an ad and pay for that reach. And the marketers are always gaming the algorithms. So therefore the algorithms are always changing. So you're just on this constant chase of somebody else's agenda. So I guess the thing is, keep an eye out for unintended consequences of AI. I had a technology company said that they spun up 1,000 SDRs, 1,000 SDR bots that can now work 24/7. That's one technology vendor, one company with these 1,000 sales agents just smashing the marketplace. That's going to have unintended consequences. Humans are going to filter, they already are. So yeah, it's going to come down to being hyper-focused on people and engaging directly with people. That's going to be the challenge. That's why networking, I think, is a massive safety net in the B2B space.
I see the same thing. One of the tech dev leaders that we work with, they are extremely AI forward. He has this really great line that goes something like, because of AI, what used to take us 16 weeks, we can now do in about 6 hours. And I think the principles that you've shared with us here today allow for the flip of that to occur. Imagine the potential if you're getting 6 hours worth of run today and you can implement good networking practices that are heavy value driven, that are trust oriented, that are clear around who it is ideally is your ideal customer profile, that ICP, and more importantly, strategically looking to find out who it is that work with them that you can then come into contact with. I think we could have the replacement of, right? We can go from a very limited network to a mushroom cloud of activity from a business development perspective. So this has been amazing. Thank you so much for joining this outstanding session, your wealth of knowledge. For everyone who's watching, Derek, if they want to go deeper with you, where can they connect with you?
LinkedIn's probably the easiest. So if you just search for Referral Marketing Ideas on LinkedIn, you'll find me. Or you can go to referralmarketingideas.com to the website and grab some resources from there.
Yeah, very good. If you're listening in and you're thinking to yourself, because I was thinking it also, we don't have a referral flywheel. We've got a whole bunch of random acts of networking. Then let's fix that. Here's again my offer to you. Book your Executive Espresso strategy session with me today. The link to my calendar, it's in the show notes. And in 20 minutes, we'll identify your biggest growth choke point, give you 3 immediate actions, and quantify exactly what doing nothing is already costing you. This is a quick, tactical, and for a limited few, only 3, it's free. So again, go to the link in the show notes, lock in your slot before they're gone. Thank you again for joining us here. Again, my name is Sam Palazzolo. This has been your Executive Espresso Break. So until next time, stay sharp, stay caffeinated, and keep scaling with purpose. Ciao for now.